Hi, and welcome everyone to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. Today we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. Hello, everyone. It's always such a joy to be here with you again today on this lovely Friday. So thank you all for joining in. And as you just heard, welcome to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. And of course, much gratitude and thanks to the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, which of course you can find on 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. If you are watching us on any social media platform, please join us in one of the various chat rooms. We love connecting with you, getting your questions and comments. Don't be shy, pop on in. We love it. So thank you all again for joining us today for a journey into the hidden layers of history, myth, and sacred landscape. Today we explore the mysteries of mystical France, a path that moves from the legends of Mary Magdalene to the ancient echoes of Isis and the deeper spiritual currents woven through one of Europe's most enigmatic regions. France is often seen through the lens of art, culture, and romance, which we love. But beneath that, the surface lies a tapestry of sacred sites, ancient traditions, and stories that continue to inspire seekers and researchers alike, from remote caves and medieval cathedrals to symbols that may reach back to far older civilizations. These mysteries invite us to question what we think we know about history, spirituality, and the power of the place. Joining us today is Bart Sharp, whose work explores these connections with curiosity and depth. Together, we will look beyond the familiar narratives to examine the legends, the controversies, and the enduring fascination with the sacred feminine, ancient wisdom, and the mystical geography of France. So with that said, Bart, welcome.
Hi, how are you doing, Carol Ann? It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. I've been very excited about this show and learning from you. And of course, we're going to say hello to folks. Hello. How you doing, Mika?
Hey, Mika.
Let's see what they, any comment on the presidential decree that is going to get interesting. Also, Kurt Cobain. Yeah, justice for Kurt. I know a lot of people are upset by that. Absolutely. I'm sure we'll touch upon that. But Bart, before we dig into this fascinating topic, I wanted to get a little background from you, how you got involved in your travels to France, your knowledge of it, and the other topics, of course, that you talk about. So hello, Ku, such a blessing to have you, Ku Thunder. So take some time and give us some background on yourself.
Well, I'm a seventh generation Texan, American Indian heritage. Of course, was raised by cowboys in a cowboy culture. Tried to get out as quick as I could. Now I live in Austin, Texas. And I've been doing shamanic work for 20 years, various ways. And somewhere along that line, my father died. And I was kind of always waiting around, making sure that I would be there for him whenever he needed me. So I never really got to travel. So I had 4 months that I could do anything, go any place in the world. And France just kept calling and I never knew why. And through a comedy of errors, I made my way from Paris to Toulouse to Albi to the countryside. And then eventually, in the second half of my journey, I rented a room from this woman named Corinne, who lived right at the base of this mountain called Pic de Bougueroche. Pic de Bougueroche is legendary. They call it the Magic Mountain. It's a stargate. which
Mm.
means that all of these energies from other star systems, and that would be including all the ETs that are coming around, go into this mountain. All of these energies are coming in. It holds the reality. And of course, the energy comes in and then it disseminates through ley lines all throughout Europe and likely connecting to Egypt. In the
Mm-hmm.
United States, to give you a reference, Mount Shasta is a stargate.
Yeah.
The island of Maui, the volcano is a stargate. Machu Picchu is a stargate. Um, Avebury Stone Circle is a stargate. Antarctica is a stargate, and many more. There's 12 of them. So here I am at this
Over.
mountain, and I feel
Sorry.
electrified. Everything opens for me in
Yeah.
magnitude. And this is what high energy spots do, particularly if you're extra sensitive. I've been doing shamanic work for 10 years. And
Oh,
so
wow.
I knew what vibration was all about, or a
Yeah.
lot of what it was all about. Of course, by the time I got there, I realized how little I knew. Uh, so this world opened to seeing a wide variety of sacred sites, whether it be in a church or in
Mm-hmm.
a cave or on the landscape where maybe there's this mystical rock that everybody sits on, and
Yeah.
through the centuries they've carved it into a chair. And I'm referring to the
Mm.
chair of Isis on this example. But they all have a different energetic signature.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went into this journey and I was mesmerized by it. How do you get yourself back there again? That was the question, which I returned
Mm.
to Austin, Texas. And I decided to create a tour business
Oh,
slowly,
wow.
surely to, just pay my bills so I could go and live part of my life in France.
Yeah. So that's what you're currently doing. You go back and forth.
Yeah, yeah, it's gotten bigger over the years. However, that's the whole purpose, is to pay my flight, my expenses, car rentals. You know, for 6 months living in France, that's close to $6,000 to $8,000 in car rentals just alone. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
so you have to
costly.
make some kind of money to handle that.
Absolutely. And it's funny because people think like, doing these things, that everybody that has a podcast is making money, and that's just absolutely not true. So it's like, I don't know why people think that, but you literally need millions of views to make like on YouTube, for instance, to make any decent modicum of money over there.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not even about the money. It's
Mm.
about the energy that you get to exchange with thousands of people.
Oh God,
And
yeah.
what that does to you changes your life. Something will
We were
show
just
up.
talking about that before. You and I were just discussing that. What an amazing blessing it is to be part of this network,
Yeah,
just, for the people that we get to connect with.
and special thanks to Michelle Dershare and Joe Moltato for
Absolutely.
running this and putting it up and having, I guess, the tenacity and inner strength
Yeah,
to keep doing it year after year.
absolutely.
That's a superpower.
It really is. That's so well said. Michelle has been nothing but a blessing in my life. She's a close friend, and she's taught me so much, and it's just a blessing all around the board. So sometimes, like you said, it's absolutely not about the money. Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's a huge
But it's
knowledge
nice.
base.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is nice to get, some support where you can get it. So,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like you said, are expensive. And, we live in a world, unfortunately, that's designed that way.
Well, it's just they all connect,
Yeah.
and we keep creating projects. I don't know why people come to my church. Well, I do know why, but how they get there and how they find me sometimes is a surprise.
Yeah.
And to me, it's about following your heart and what gives you energy in your life, uh, which is like I got this title for a book. because I've written some books, and I've never sold very many copies. But this title popped up in my head: "The Wild Feminine of Bogarash."
Mm,
Bogarash is the magic mountain, and I thought that's a great title. I think I'll write a book that will correspond with that title.
mm.
So I'm writing a book on my memoirs about being in France, and hopefully that will release in the coming months. But energy begets energy, and we just keep doing all of these great creative things. It's funny, the bills always get paid.
Yes. And I'm always so full of gratitude for every ounce of help that comes my way. And I'm sure you feel the same way. Starting your day and ending it with gratitude is just like the best thing.
Yeah.
It is. So out of your travels to France, what is the most powerfully spiritual place that you've been to where you just keep going back maybe, or you have an instance of something magical that happened to you that has left a lasting impression on your soul?
Oh God, there's so many.
Oh, I can imagine.
I could go down the list, but I'll tell you a very unusual place called Saint Salvaire, which means the Savior. Saint Salvaire is up on this hill, and you have to drive on a windy, narrow road. Like you could not drive a bus up there.
Mm.
However, in a van, it's scary, but I do it anyway. If you meet a tractor on the road, uh, you better think quickly. Uh, so you drive this 5 kilometer small road up this hill to this little bitty church. It is in the shape of a square cross. That means it's an equal distance at the cross, just like a square, made out of stone. Some people say it's 3,000 years old. Some people say it was built out that Romans at 2,000 years old.
Mm.
There's nothing in this place except for 2 houses in this church. The legend is, and this is a very racy legend that I'm sure will create controversy, but that's what United Public Radio Network is all about.
Yep.
The legend is that Yeshua, or Jesus, died here.
Oh,
That he did not die on the cross, but he lived in France. And he and Mary Magdalene were traveling, and this was the road that you would take from this region, of the Aude region, Rennes Chateau, Rennes-les-Bains, those legendary places. And they were going to Carcassonne and then to the coast, to Béziers, where they would meet their daughter, Sarah, who just had a child. Jesus died in that church on the transition. He was a 50-year-old man. Other theories are, well, he really did die on the cross, but he kept coming back in physical form all over the world. And there's a lot of evidence to that, and I kind of lean into that theory. What I do know, as I don't want to say it's substantial fact, because this is unseen energy, stuff that you feel. So there's nothing you can really measure. It's just what you feel inside, which to me is just as real as what I see. But when you put your hands on the cross, or excuse me, on the altar, and you ask for Yeshua's presence to show up, Yeshua shows up.
oh my word.
And it's like, it's gangbusters. And a lot of people have had this Yeshua experience. Energy's coming in. Other people go, God, when I put my hands on that altar, it's made out of stone. I just feel so much come into me. It has a lot of different reactions. Now that's really interesting. But on the other side of this little bitty church that fits maybe 60 people, there's a, it looks like what you would tie a mule to, like a post that comes up
I
out of
see
the
that.
ground.
I'm kind of sharing pictures of it. You talking about this right here?
Yeah, God, you've done your homework. I'm impressed. So if you put your hand on there, the energy of the goddess starts to come up.
Oh, wow.
And so you have Yeshua from the heavens and all of these angel realms coming in. And then you have the goddess coming in. And so you have two energies coming in and they just intertwine. And then you start summoning, because this is almost like a launching pad. And on the
Wow.
outside of the church are what they call the chariots of fire. And the chariots of fire are beings that bring in higher realms into this reality. And they ironically put these little statues on the corners of the church outside of the church, the only statue in the whole place. Anyway, this is what this place is a summoning church. And literally, we create a egg of consciousness there, of higher based energies, and we do energy work in there. It's transformative. I've been over 100 times.
Oh, you have been there that much.
It's juicy. If I want to have an afternoon of high energy work, I go to St. Salvaire. And a lot of my friends do. It's just amazing.
So is this that road that you're talking about?
Yes. Yeah, if you look off to the left, you would see Pic de Bogarash. God, you've done your homework.
Oh, it's certainly a stunning place. I mean,
yeah,
there's the altar.
There's the altar. It's a very simple church. Only people, community members bring this in. There was a time that the Roman Catholics kind of had ownership of all of these churches. However, now the communities own them. And the community decides if they're going to have a priest, or if they can afford a priest, or if they want to send money to the Roman Catholics. Or it could just be a community center where people get together for meetings, or spiritual work, or singing, or have occasional mass.
Wonderful.
That's why you can go and put your hands on the altar, because there's not going to be a priest saying, that's a no-no,
Right, which is nice.
Yeah. So you get to go. And usually most of these churches are on a ley line.
Of course.
A lot of them.
Of course. Yeah, that makes sense.
And of course, the altar is a line in the most highly energetic spot that possible. So only the priests could get that special energy, so to speak, in the old days.
Yeah, it says here, it was thought that the church was originally a place of pagan or druidic worship, and that was later sanctified by the Christian faith. So that's very interesting.
Exactly.
And chillingly, it says the altar stone might have once been a pagan sacrificial slab. Oh my goodness. So much history there.
It is. All of them. And we're talking about places that sometimes do not have an identified origin of time. When you think of St. Salvaire, they say 3,000 years old. When you go to a church, the world famous church, Rennes Chateau, we really don't know how old that has been a site of special significance.
Yeah.
It was a church of Isis at one time, and now it's a proclaimed church of Mary Magdalene.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those churches all throughout were churches of Isis that later became shrines, or a small prayer building, or a church itself. But it went through this progression. And ironically, there's a lot of Mary Magdalene churches that definitely have documentation, thanks to Ani Williams, who's researched a lot of that in her book, Guarding the Dragon's Paths. Give a shout out to Ani, she's amazing. that they were temples of Isis, and generally they were on a mountaintop,
Mm,
and a lot of them had Knights Templar sites around them.
sure.
They were
Yeah.
sacred sites. They praised the goddess. Mary Magdalene became that face, as well as Mother Mary. Seemed to be more appropriate to have Mother Mary as the face as opposed to Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
But that wasn't true in Spain and southern France, but in other places in
Yeah.
Europe.
Well, Mary was considered Mary Magdalene to be an actual apostle as well. So
Yep.
I think there's a lot of what we've been told. I mean, I'm Catholic, so I can only speak for that, but there's a lot of what we've been told through our teachings that is just, not true or kind of embellished and left out and left out.
You're
Like the book
diplomatic.
of yeah, the book of Enoch alone. I mean, there's so much, but
Yes.
and it saddens me, but I know that it was done for the purposes of control and to keep the population, kind of abated where they would be more submissive to the Catholic Church. And there's a lot that goes
There
on. But I love
is.
sites like that. That looks gorgeous.
There's all kinds of uh, stories with that about just, kind of dumbing down the people.
Yeah.
Because when we talked about a more enlightened age, before the Romans, uh, these were people that were very connected to the land, that
Mm,
had their own forms of magic and such. And those eras were very much there of that. And the deeper we go into the history, we really see how enlightened people were, and maybe not in so much of the context of books, reading and writing, although there were written texts, but people lived a high spiritual life. That's why these energy centers were available
mm,
and developed. And we really do not know who developed them.
wow.
The idea that, for example, Stonehenge, that they brought those stones over uh, 15,000 years ago, maybe, uh, is really kind of far fetched. They're much
Yeah,
older than
and I've
suspect.
heard so many stories about that too, that it was reconstructed. And I've seen pictures of cranes over there and them rebuilding it using concrete and stuff. So who knows? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, sacred sites are really interesting
Mm,
configurations,
yeah.
and they do have a purpose with them. In every sacred site has a different configuration.
Yeah.
Uh, so, for example, I love the vacation in Ireland. And this past year, I went to a couple of stone circles. And the deeper you go into yourself, the deeper you can start to understand this. This isn't something that just popped into me like some natural gift. I wish I
Right.
was that psychic, but no, I've had to work at it and explore and also do a lot of emotional work to release
Sure.
the density in my body so I can perceive more. This is the journey. So here I'm at the Droneberg Stone Circle. This would be around Cork, Ireland, the southwest area. And this is a big stone circle. And there is eight stones going in two semicircles to make a complete circle. But then one in the back, it almost looks like it's a altar. So I'm putting my
Mm,
hands on the altar and really going into the energy of it. And down at the bottom, who knows how deep within, but there was an energetic center down there, almost
mm,
like what I would call a Christos energy. In other words, an energy source that It'd be kind of like identifying with Gaia, or probably separate from Gaia, but an energetic center. But then you also have a connection with the stars. And so if you really think
Hmm.
about the ancients, what they may have been worshiping is the connection of a deep connection with the earth, the stars, both of these coming into this circle. And then, of course, those worshiping and practicing, receiving that into their lives. This is pretty complex. This is not primitive spirituality or primitive magic. It's
Right.
something very deep of knowing that they're connected to so much more
Yeah,
than what most people give them credit for.
absolutely. What about lords? We hear so much about lords, and it's become like the tourist capital, I guess, of France, isn't it?
Well, it's the second most traveled
Yeah.
Catholic sacred journey site next to Rome. And the third being, which I highly recommend anybody going to, is to go to Montserrat and see the Black Madonna, but also go to the power spots there, all up on this magic mountain. Amazing places there. Lourdes, I have never been, but I hear the
Oh,
same thing, is that people travel and there's such a unity of spirituality of people praying and such that it's incredible. Now, people have brought me back water from Lourdes, like, they'll come to Lourdes, get the water, they'll come to my area,
yes.
see me, and they go, I have a bottle of water for you, Bart. So this is fresh water. And so I drink it. It's very powerful, high vibrational.
Oh, I've heard. I've
It's
heard.
amazing. But in my area, we have our own version of Lourdes, which
Oh, tell
is,
us.
this is such a magical place. It's called Notre Dame de Celles.
Oh, yeah.
Celles. It's really close to a town called Foix, Foix. It's kind of, Foix has its fame about it. But in this little bitty church, it was created in 1702, and it's out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, we're talking about in the Pyrenees Mountains, up on a hillside, nothing but trees, ancient forest. And this boy of 16 or so, named Jean, was out hoeing and creating a garden near a stream. And Mother Mary appeared.
Wow.
And she blessed the water. She also blessed Jean's hoe, which I never saw the hoe that he was hoeing with, but they say it has all of these emblems and, all of this magical writing all over it. Imagine looking at that and having Mother Mary touching it and all of this stuff appeared. You're going, what? And so they built a church there. And so for 300 plus years, there has been this church in the middle of the woods. No houses have been built around it. And the water there is much like Lourdes.
And what's
They
this
had
called
this
again, Bart?
Notre Dame de Celles, Celles.
Okay.
If
And
you're a
you've been
friend,
there.
many times.
Mm.
Yeah, it's only open on Sunday afternoons. It's a small community of people. This is my version of Lourdes that I like, because you can go and drink the water anytime if you're willing to walk up the hill to get to the church, which really makes your muscles tired. Let's just put it that way. Nice,
Oh,
nice,
I bet.
nice path, but you walk up
Yeah.
this steep hill to get to this church. And here amongst all of these trees and all of these fairies and all of these magical creatures is this church. And I have been there during Mass, and you always feel Mother Mary's presence there. Always.
Mm.
However, when there is a Mass, it's amazing.
Oh, I can bet.
It feels like a white energy penetrates your whole body. And it's Mother Mary's energy. There's no signature like it. And so that's one of my favorite places to go. It's out in the middle of nowhere in the Arajay region, which is in the Pyrenees, up in the high hills. It's just like that. There's just one magical place after another. So when you tell me my favorite spot, it's like I can't tell you my favorite spot.
Oh, I can just imagine. Is that what keeps driving you back every year after year to visit these magical places, just to be able to immerse yourself in that
Exactly.
connection? Yeah.
You just think of it this way, it's another reality that doesn't have so much electricity to it, like in the United States. And I'm not knocking the United States. When I go to Austin, when I come back to Austin, my spiritual journey does not slow down. However, it's the magic of the people, in my opinion, that make the United States so powerful.
Mm,
People still believe in possibility here, and it doesn't matter what side of the fence you are on. People want to change, and they believe that something better can come in their lives, and they're driven with that fascination. A lot of people are that way, and that's what I love about United States. In France, the energy is very old, and it's a different
mhm.
type of electricity. It's just coming up from the rocks, in the seams between the rocks, through the water, uh, like a certain vibrational electricity. And it's hard to even explain what that source is. Some people
Mm,
say, oh, it's the mineral content. We have the
yeah.
different specific mineral content. I'm sure that magnifies it, but I don't think it's that simple.
Yeah.
And I can't even explain, but there's so many sources of energy. So when you get into something like that, it runs through you and your body just keeps getting lighter and lighter,
Yeah.
depending on, I think, the questions that you try to answer through your experiences. If you really wanted to see what a higher power is that is alive in you, that would be opening a question
Yeah.
to a consciousness.
Yeah. Because we're all looking for a way to remember who we are authentically in terms of our unification to each other. We're all one shared consciousness. And I think that we're all on this earth just struggling to find our way back to that. And it's not always so easy. It's a journey. And I think that maybe by you doing what you're doing, you just keep tapping into that sacred place, right?
Yes. And it's in to help other people by taking them here and facilitating that magnifies it for everybody.
I'll
And
bet.
and if you can imagine having 6 to 10 people with the same intention,
Yes.
how
Oh my
much more it
goodness.
would magnify.
Yeah. And we were kind of touching upon that when we were talking about how this network allows us to tap into those same type of people with the same energy and the same longing for that deep rooted connection. So, and for those of us that can't travel like you do to France and have that luxury, it seems to be the second best option is by, tapping into people that are like-minded and like-spirited, I guess.
Indeed, and there's so many ways. I mean, uh, you can just be meditating with the earth or leaning against a tree and
Yes.
feeling the energy of a tree. Uh, and the important part is to keep developing and listen to people's ideas, uh, and keep asking those questions. Books and ideas teach us, but somewhere it's best to do an internal journey.
And it truly is a journey. And it's a lifelong journey. And it's so interesting how once you dip your toes in it, there's like no going back. You don't want to go back, first of all. But sometimes I think spiritual growth can be very isolating as well, because it kind of gives you a different pair of eyes in the way that you see the world, and just a different biological system that responds to the things you're learning. Like, you just feel differently. Your dreams are different. Your consciousness is reshaped. But it is a journey, and you're always on that quest. It's like the hero's journey, right? Like, you're always
Yeah,
on that
yeah.
quest.
But it's out of fascination and curiosity, and excitement runs through you with every corner you turn. And yes, in everything that I've chosen, or like every new discovery I've made, a lot of them aren't it. Like, you think you found this new way of consciousness, and you think it's fascinating, and a week later you're going, well, that was a dead end. you
Yeah,
know
yeah, yeah.
it has that aspect too, but you know it's kind of funny.
It is. And our ego gets in the way of so much, and it seems like we're constantly battling, and I feel that that's the right word. We're
Hmm.
constantly struggling to like suppress that squirrel brain, from leading us in the wrong direction. But so I could totally understand why you do what you do and travel. And like I said, just maybe a month ago, I had a guest on who has visited sacred spaces, and she's written so many books on it and traveled all over the globe, and basically said the same thing you said as to why she does what she does. She does tours too. Um,
Hmm.
and she started out as a journalist, I believe. And it's funny how life directs you to where you need to be, right?
It is. It certainly is. If like it, Someone told me, if it's light, it's right. If it's heavy, it's a lie.
Yeah.
And so when you find something, and I ask this question every year, what's the energy of me returning to France?
Mm.
And every time my heart expands, it gets really light. And that
Wow.
lets me know there's a lot of energy to return to France. But also, I think the universe helps me. When you
Yeah.
get aligned with something that you love, things start to come to you. Think about the love you
So
have for
true.
this show,
Yeah.
and how much it has changed and helped you create whatever you want to create.
So true. And that's why, like, even the people in the chat, I've had the blessings of getting to know most of them, chatting with them, connecting with them. And that too is such a blessing, because
It
it's not
is.
only it's not only the guests, it's the whole community. Um, it's just a synchronicity that you have to feel it to understand it. I guess it's kind of like going to church, and you vibe with the people in
Yep,
your church and in your community. It's kind of like the same thing.
it really is. So it's always, it's just a wonderful blessing to just get to be in connection with so many
Absolutely.
all
Do you
around
ever
the
see a
world.
do you ever see a day where you don't travel to France anymore, or do you just see that in your forever?
I try not to go into the future.
Yeah.
I'm not a spring chicken, that's for sure. I have a lot of vitality. Uh, and so I can't really determine that. And
Yeah,
I
that's
don't,
true.
I don't want to.
Right. Exactly.
uh, it's funny how that is. But we, as kind of inventors or alien types, I'd like to say we're all got alien DNA and heritage. I think part of what is included in that is a lot of curiosity.
Oh yeah.
And wherever we are, we will find something to expand us and help us grow, because we know how it enriches us. and we live for that. I mean, that's what I love about Austin, Texas, and a lot about it in the United States in general.
Yeah.
And I've seen other countries like that. And then I've seen other countries, I don't think that consciousness is so prevalent. I
Mm,
see it in the French people, but not every country seems to have that. And I'm not going to point any fingers, but just a personal opinion um, with that. Yeah, and even regions like in Texas, it's not exactly expansive in some places.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
grew up in rural Texas, and I was just itching for change,
Yeah.
and it was like things were very slow. We were farmers. We did the same things every day, you know, and gave ourselves the same kind of rewards. And I was just thinking there has to be something better than this. I don't know what it is, but it has to be something.
I know. I think
Yeah.
that too all the time. Talking about Mary Magdalene, which stories do you find that are the most compelling or
Hmm.
historically grounded from, France has a lot of deep legends connected to Mary Magdalene.
I just interviewed Veronique Fleon, who is the president of the archives of this church called Maxime Saint Laban in the Provence region of southern France. This is an ancient church. Well, not ancient, but it's very, very old. I think they built it in the 10th century. Uh, and this is the home of the skull that people claim is Mary Magdalene's skull.
Wow.
And there's a lot of controversy. Some people say it's another woman married the Egyptian. What I do know is that skull is high vibration. You go in there and you're around it, and something inside of you changes. But also part of the path for Mary Magdalene, um, and Mary Magdalene's story is not clear at all. I've heard so many stories where origins was she a nice Jewish girl? Was she an Egyptian mystic? Was she something else? It's
Mm,
hard to say. What I do know is that there's a lot of history of her being in Western France, which is where I stay, kind of on the Spanish-French border in the Pyrenees. And she taught. She wasn't teaching a religion. These folks weren't about, well, we're the next coming and we have to make our impression. That's not what they were about. They were about helping people and exposing people to new techniques of how to live better. That's probably as simple as it got. And Mary did that in that region. But when she became older, she decided to go east of this western region to the middle part of France on the coastline. That would be the Provence region, or that's what it's called these days. And there was a cave there, and it was actually a cave of Artemis. This was
mm,
a highly known mystical cave. Uh, and she spent her remaining years spending a lot of time in that cave. Some say that she lived up there. I find that be kind of hard. This was a woman of wealth. She had money. She had influence, but also she was tenacious in the spiritual journey. So she spent every day there, 7 times a week, going up what they call the 7 layers of heaven. And you can go into this church, or this cave, excuse me, and sit in the place that she sat, or where I believe she did. Nobody ever has a marker like an X on this is the spot she sat, but she sat in this one place, and you astral travel. I went into the heavens. Not that, and I'm talking about the heavens of the stars. Felt like
mm,
I was having an ET experience, not a 7 levels of heaven experience. That was just
mm.
me.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite story, is that she spent this last part of her life as a mystic, working to become lighter and lighter in her physical body so that she would be prepared to take the next step of the journey to whatever that was. And I really think that Yeshua was in the same boat. They were very much light bodies that were full of light. And it wasn't like it was bestowed on them. They had to do the work. Yeah, so I think that's why I have so much admiration for Mary Magdalene. She was a woman just like you and I.
Yeah.
That wasn't the chosen one.
Right.
She was a woman that worked her way up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's a picture of her skull, supposedly, that you were talking about in this cave.
Oh, yes. And interesting enough, God, you do your homework. I'm so impressed. That skull is very small. And
Yeah,
some people say, well, if you're an ascended master, your skull shrinks. But what Veronique also added in this is that she was under 5 foot tall.
Oh, she was small of
very
stature.
small.
Yeah.
So it might have been, it didn't shrink, it might have, but that is an extremely small skull. And it doesn't make any sense unless you know those little tidbits of information.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it could be her. No
Could
one
be.
knows definitively.
It will rock your world. And that's generally when people take a sabbatical on a Mary Magdalene journey, they go to that church and they go to the cave.
Yeah.
And there's a few other places in that region. Where I am in the western region, the Wild West, so to speak, there are Mary Magdalene sites, but there is a wide variety of other mystical places that have a lot of other connections. So that this kind of the difference. And as you travel around France, there's mystical places all over the country. I could just go on and on about that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even in the picture, the painting, The Last Supper, I heard that, well, let me see if I could get this picture up here. That Mary Magdalene is portrayed in the painting. Wait, let me see.
Yes. And there's the V between she and Jesus.
There we go.
Of the V shape. Oh, yes.
That is actually Mary Magdalene.
Oh, yes, it is. And there's almost like an M shape there with that one part, that V of the M.
Amazing.
And we see a lot of MM designs and statues in the area. And it's just a reference to Mary Magdalene.
Wow. I mean, it does look like a woman.
Oh, it does. It's definitely Magdalene.
I don't know why the Catholic, like I went to Catholic schools throughout my youth, and not once was that ever mentioned. Not once did they. It's like, it's mind-blowing to me. You could clearly see that's a woman.
Well, in my own opinion, it's like if he had a partner, that means he was having sex.
Right.
And Jesus gets to become a normal man, and they wanted to portray something beyond human.
Correct.
Whereas another way to look at it was, no, Jesus may have been bestowed with really a lot of great karma and the talents and abilities, but also he worked very hard to get where he was. And what he learned is available for all of us.
Absolutely.
And I think that was what the Roman Catholics did not want us to learn. They did not want us to read, so they banned reading for all people for 10,000 years, something like that.
Oh yeah, I mean
Yeah.
when I would go to church back in the day, it was in Latin because they
Hmm.
didn't want us to hear the mass in English. They didn't want us to have, that knowledge. And
Yeah.
I was only told to read what I was told to read, and that was it, no more, no less. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Follow along. You,
Yeah.
you,
Now, Carrie says, I attended Catholic school. It's like women were all like edited out of the story. Thank Constantine and his merry men. Yeah, we
yeah.
were. A lot of us were, we're still being, I don't want to get into that, but we're
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
being edited out. We're, women are still being edited out in let's just say certain religions. Women are
And,
very much edited
and,
out.
yes.
Good
And,
point,
and, and,
Carrie.
and and in this region of France, whether you be in the Provence or the western region called the Languedoc, uh, this is of land that where the Cathars live, which
Yeah.
a lot of us believe they carried on the teachings of what Mary Magdalene was spreading about.
Mm,
Men and women both were encouraged to read and write. It was like a big secret society that
yeah.
they were proclaiming. They were proclaiming that they were Catholic, and they were part of that Roman Catholic thing. But they had another secret world of equality,
Yeah.
and their journey is very intense, of what they held. So, in the secret world of France, there's a lot of stuff that was hidden.
Mm,
Uh, Mary Magdalene is the patron saint of the Provence region, a woman, no doubt, who was a prostitute. It's like,
yeah.
okay. So, yeah, everybody
Yeah.
knew that everybody had to clear story. Not everybody wanted it known.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's
Good
kind of
point.
interesting stuff.
What roles do places like caves, mountains, or pilgrimage routes play in the Magdalene mythology? I mean, you said she's the
Yeah.
patron saint, right? So, like, France obviously looks at her and reveres her very differently. And
Well,
I think that's awesome.
well, traditionally, people went to caves, A, for protection, but B, if they went on a sabbatical to find themselves, their shadow. It's good to go in a cave to think and reflect and not use your eyes for so much stimulation. That's a
Right.
very intellectual perspective. And a woman, a non-psychic woman, I won't mention her name, who writes books about the area, argued with me like, "Oh, those caves don't have powers. They just help you get in touch with your shadow. That's all you're seeing." And I'm going, if you knew what I knew, honey, you wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
So there are caves that energy comes into, and this isn't just in Southwest France.
Yeah.
There's legends of Yeshua being in India in this one cave where he was led by this um, ascended master named Babaji, who is thousands and thousands of years old, or not old, but when he was a human. But he is kind of, if there was a certain thing of a patron saint of astral travel,
Mm,
Babaji is your man.
mm.
Babaji, you can actually do a summoning or an invitation for his spirit to come in, and he comes in loud and clear for me, and he
Wow.
helps you go into the astral worlds. Jesus spent a lot of time in a cave with Babaji. This is mentioned in the book, which is a great book, Anna, Grandmother of Jesus by Claire Hartsong. That book is probably the favorite of anybody that goes on these tours. Most everybody has read that book, and they go, even though it's a channeled book, most people agree it feels like the information is very true.
What's her name again? Claire Hart. What?
Hartsong. And she wrote two books, both channeled. Anagram of their Jesus, and Voice of the Magdalens. And they're both great books.
Oh, I see them on Hay House. Is her
Yeah, they're great. They're classics. She's never written anything besides that. Maybe that pays her bills. I don't know. But those
Anna the
are a
voice?
gift. Yeah,
Yeah, she has Anna the Voice of the Magdalens, Anna
and
Grandmother of Jesus, Anna.
I think
Yeah, I
it's,
think those two.
yeah, Voice of the Magdalens, or Mary Voice of the Magdalens. That one is more about Anna's and Mary Magdalene's time in France at the base of the Bougarache. The other one is more like the origins of Anna and Mother Mary and the Essenes and Jesus
Mm.
coming in, and then this Mary Magdalene gal coming in. All of that stuff, how they originated and pulled it together.
Now
Great
this
books.
Babaji, was he a saint? How do you spell that?
Well, he'd be Indian. Babaji.
Oh,
Yeah.
Babaji. I see that now. Okay.
Yeah, he's great. So when you start to think about going into these caves, there's certain ones that are highly energetic,
Mm.
and they change you. Just like Mary Magdalene and St. Baum going into the cave of Artemis. There's another one right near that called the Cave of Eggs. I've never been to that one, but I've heard great things. There are 3 caves right across a valley from Rennes Chateau called the Caves of Mary Magdalene. That was given as a nickname about 30 years ago, and it stuck because a woman had an experience of a Mary Magdalene apparition appearing before her in those caves. It was called the Caves of Fournet before that, or Grotte Le Fournet.
Mm.
But there's these 3 caves, and one of them is shaped like a yoni. I mean, you enter the yoni, you're inside, and you feel like you're in a yoni. But when you meditate there, for my own interpretation, it feels like you're closer to Gaia than any
Mm.
place in the world.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, she just comes in. Then there's another cave there that connects to the stars. And then another cave that if you go into this little crawl space, you go into your earliest childhood memories.
Oh my goodness.
At least
Has
that
that
was for me.
happened to you?
Oh, yeah. Felt like I was being held by my mother when I was like a baby.
Oh my
And
goodness.
how can you remember that type of stuff until it reappears, and all of a sudden
Right.
it feels like it was yesterday?
Jeez.
And
That sounds wonderful though.
I don't know what the relevance of that is, but every time I go into that cave, I get something different about an information source that only me and me and my mother's womb would know. It's crazy.
It's
Uh,
magical.
yeah. That's amazing. Interesting enough, there was a lot of people going to it. It got very, very popular, and a bunch of people decided to have this big ritual there. And it's on a cliffside. It's not easy to get in and out. But 300 people
Seems
showed
like
up
none of
there.
these places are easy to get in and out. Maybe they
Oh,
were made
no.
intentionally that way.
Now, some of them aren't, but the mayor caught wind of it and brought the police down and had the people run off. And after that, he closed it. So,
Oh, that
you
was
know,
nice.
yeah, it's taken the traffic down. So if we go in small groups.
Yeah.
It
Leave it
was
to a
getting,
politician to
yeah,
just come in and screw shit up.
it's not, it's
So,
not, it's not for groups over 10 people. That's for sure. It's
yeah.
very
Yeah.
intimate, but
Oh,
people
I'll
go
bet.
there all the time. Then there's the sacred Cathar cave called Grotte Le Bethlehem. They had 7 initiation caves in this area called, let's see, gosh, it's not coming to me. Uh, uh, anyway, it's by Foix, in this little village. And these 7 initiation caves is what the Cathars, if you wanted to become a parfait or a parfaite, that would be a monk or a monkette. And you would go through these 7 caves and go into this deep spiritual journey. And one of them being that you would go into a cave that
Oh,
had no sound or light for what I was told by ancient writings, 28 days. It's a long
wow,
time.
that takes a lot of courage.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
takes a
yeah.
lot of courage.
But you lose yourself. You lose all your sensitivity, and you go to
Yeah,
the other side of how you feel and things, which tells you
yeah,
what a mystical group they were.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it reminds me of those submersion tanks that you go into where you just
Exactly.
block out everything and you're just buoyant in in the water there. That's what it reminds me of.
It
But
really is. I've talked to people who have done it for 6 days,
mm,
and
wow.
they they felt very changed.
Oh my
However,
God.
that's not the best cave. I mean, the best cave is called Grotla Bethlehem, and there's a rock there that's about 3 tons in weight, and it's set upon these 3 boulders that are rounded, so it looks like a
Mm,
table.
yeah.
Uh, but there's about a dozen power spots in this
Wow.
cave, and
You
they're
know,
all
it's so
transcendental.
interesting because it's like people are just, whether it's with ayahuasca or mushrooms or DMT, people are just on, like I said before, they're on this journey, like to find out who they really are, remember
I like to think of it
who
as
they
like
are.
they're wanting to find the source of themselves in the
Hmm.
state of nothingness.
Yeah.
And so we go to these extremes. Um, but this is a bit different. There are comparisons between those two. However, this is about taking your embodiment to a source of light to where you feel like light is in every cell of your body and you're
Yeah.
in that state. And you could be in an astral state or you could be in a physical state. But the whole idea with the Cathars is what I learned through people who write about them, which is very little. They wanted to be a master of their astral and their physical state at the same time.
Yeah.
So they would go into these high states of light, of beingness that would take them to such a peace. They wanted to break down into those places. And this is very much what you would say with the tales of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. They embodied light to such a degree that it filled them up everywhere and they could live in it all the time. Now, this is why Yeshua could just change things.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Absolutely.
he
Kind
was
of
in a
reminds
light
me of an
environment.
NDE, like when you have a near death experience and like
Exactly.
you, yeah,
Yeah, you step into the light there. You
yeah.
step into the other side. But you're doing something much more difficult. You're bringing it back home and living in it. And for Yeshua, he
Wow.
lived in it for years. That's quite an testament.
And I had heard that when Jesus disappeared, because there's these missing years
Mm-hmm.
that Jesus had, I guess, in his 20s. And I heard that that's what he was doing, that he was becoming this enlightened master. And
Yeah.
then I guess when he attained that, he came back to teach us, and it was all become a nightmare for him after that. I mean,
Well, he came back to the Jerusalem area,
mm,
and you know, rightfully so, because that place not only is it a homeland, but it's an energetic homeland where a lot converge. Much like Egypt, I always see those as brother and sister countries, karmically, and right in
and that's
between the.
funny. I was going to ask you that question. Like, are there specific sites in France that you've been to that show clear Egyptian influence?
A good question, because ISIS presence is there all the time.
Yeah,
And when you think of the name Paris, Paris,
yeah,
the old name of it was Parisis.
Wow.
Par-Asi, that would be from Isis. Par is from or
The
for.
original name of
Yeah, that's the
Paris?
original name of Paris, is
Oh my
Par-Asi.
goodness, didn't know that.
So yes, it was an ISIS site, but that was true with all over France. And this state, Ani Williams and some others are really researching a lot of Spain, but also France,
Mm,
that it did have ISIS sites dotted all over. And there were a lot of Egyptians that lived in Spain
yeah.
at a time. And they, of course, made their sites in various places. And a lot of those became Mary Magdalene sites. But then other people say, oh no, ISIS sites were all throughout Europe. They all got converted to Mother Mary sites. You know, they were holding the divine feminine in a different way,
Yeah.
and Mother Mary was more politically correct. Not to knock Mary Mother, she is the real deal. If you've ever been around her presence, you know she is the real deal. Just like Jesus and Mary Magdalene, they're all three different. They all have different vibrations,
Yeah.
different presences. So I highest regards for all three. I can't imagine French spirituality not having all three with
Yeah.
Isis in the background.
Jeez.
And then it even gets older.
Yeah. Oh, I'll bet.
We don't know how old that place is, really. You know, how do you make a ley line, or how do you make a Stargate? Who does that? You know, this is a question I don't have an answer for. I wish I knew, but I can feel it all riveting through that land. And ley lines go everywhere, and people have been documenting them, you know,
Oh,
for
God.
ages.
Yeah.
They do their little dowsing rods and walk along and douse and find these ley lines and then map them out. And, you know, they're incredible designs. They're very specific. They were definitely made for a purpose. They didn't accidentally happen.
Have you seen or been toward crop circles? Like, what has your experience been with them? I'm
Yes, I
fascinated.
have.
Yeah.
And they seem
Fascinated.
to just activate something deep inside of us.
Yeah.
Uh, that's what I get, that they are an impression of an activation. Uh, so, and they're very much well planned out. They make them immediately. I mean, they're there when there's a field 1 minute, and 3 minutes later there's a
I've
crop
heard.
circle.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's no way humans are making those. There's no way.
Well, they make very sloppy versions. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Yeah, because they're amazing when you look at the designs of them. Those wheat straws are all going in very specific directions.
Yeah, I mean, look at some of these. There's no
Yeah,
way a human could be making any of these things.
yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, you know, where they used to be the center of was Avebury, you know, and now not so much. I was just there this past summer, and they said, oh, well, we hardly get any crop circles anymore in this county.
Mm,
And Wiltshire County is what it's called, but they're
yeah.
dotted all over England in various places. So it's spreading out. And why it was in Wiltshire, the core center of Wiltshire, there is the Avebury Stone Circle. Now, of course, Stonehenge is in Wiltshire too, but the real Stargate and the real power source that fuels the land is Avebury. If you ever go, it's a big stone circle that's takes about a half of a mile or a kilometer to walk the whole thing.
Oh,
It's that
wow.
big, the whole circle. What it's made to do is birth your dreams.
Yeah. So
And
it's like an
so,
activation.
yeah, you can start
Yeah.
touching those rocks and go in a clockwise direction and think about what you want to create in your life. You know, what are the big things that you would like to become? That's a great question. It's not like, oh,
Sure.
I want a new Maserati or something. You're talking about what kind of consciousness you want to become. And you walk it, you talk with the
Yeah.
stones, you chant, you tone, you do whatever you do. And by the time you're done with the day, there's a little promenade that goes out of the stone circle into this big field, and you send that energy out to the universe. I've done this 3 times, and it's amazing how those dreams have shown up in the most unpredictable ways.
Oh, I can imagine. Carrie wants to know, has anyone known like a search for Atlantean pyramids connected to ley lines?
Oh, I'm sure they are. I would think the Atlanteans would be some of the masters of the ley lines that created them.
Yeah, makes sense.
You know, what Freddie Silva says, who's really has some great books out there, that Portugal was the Atlanteans' playground. As an intuitive, I always felt like England was a part of Atlantis and Ireland was part of Atlantis.
Mm-hmm.
There's something of a special vibration there. And then when you go to France, the Atlantean presence is there, but I don't think that, I don't know who was actively involved there. I never get a good energetic read. It's somewhere in between Egypt and Atlantis. And I'm not even talking in a directional thing, because Atlantis was farther south, but they did have their connections there. They were making these energetic fields all throughout there, and one would suspect that would be true with the United States, Central America, and South America. There's so many interesting places in this world.
Oh, God, yeah. Are there any lesser known sites that you visited in France that you'd like to bring to light for folks on a spiritual journey?
Yeah, a lot of them, but one of them in particular, uh, uh, called Alasia. Um, it's in eastern France on the Swiss border, and actually, this is where the CERN, CERN plant is nearby
Oh,
this
boy.
place, and I think they really tap into this energy. Ironically, Alasia has 24 ley lines coming out of the same spot, and they all go out in a straight line in 15-degree increments.
Wow.
So you're covering a whole circle with a ley line coming out. And when you go to this place, and how it's marked on a map is, there was a battle there, and a battle site of 40,000 Romans and 90,000 Druids. The Druids, of course, possessed this little fortress, and they were, protecting themselves from the Romans in this big battle with Julius Caesar leading the charge. And of course, the Romans beat them. And you can go to the leftovers of this battle site, but if you sit there and you're in these 24 ley lines right in the middle, it feels like the whole universe is coming into you.
Wow.
It's huge. You're thinking about, well, what kind of energy is required from the earth and from the stars to charge 24 ley lines that go throughout Europe. That's a cool place. And nobody goes there.
Huh.
Alasia is a sleepy little town out in the middle of nowhere, right at the base of the Alps, right at the edge of the Swiss border in France. And it's just there in the forest. Bring a mat to sit on because the ticks are horrible. But
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's one of those great field trips I've taken.
Oh, you see here, there is some tourism there. I see
Really?
some yeah, there's some ruins there that, I mean, not much
Yeah,
though
no,
on
there's
it.
not much. There's not much there. You can see some masonry work that is very old,
Yeah.
and this would be, God, third century BC or something like that.
Mm.
It's a long time ago.
My goodness,
That
there's
that yeah,
so
that
much
one's
history.
amazing. There
Yeah.
is, it all intertwines, and you begin to see why the Europeans love history because it's right there in their hands. They live it every day. And that's the beauty of France is it's all very old. They rebuild places. They do not tear things apart. And
Right.
there's a certain magic that the land holds
Yes.
through the years and years of never having land torn apart.
Yeah, and we're great for doing that here in the States, just
Oh
ripping
yeah,
apart everything.
ripping them
Um,
out. All the
it's awful. And Mish has said here she wants to understand ley lines, dragon lines better. And it's so true. Like they're so mystical and
mhm.
we know they exist. And there's just so much to learn about them. I'm sure you
They're-
know a lot about them, right, Bart?
well, dragon lines are very much. I don't want to say they're the same thing as ley lines,
Yeah.
but I think they really are. They're kind of cousins, so to speak. But
Yeah,
all I
yeah.
see as dragon lines is a very profound Kundalini source.
Yes.
Sometimes
Yes.
you'll feel them through the rocks themselves, like a dragon's back.
Hmm.
I just had this interesting thought about um, Archangel Michael. What is he doing? He has a sword and he's stabbing a dragon, or he's about to
Yeah.
stab a dragon.
Hmm.
What the heck does that actually mean? Well, to me, that's about a communion of the higher realms, and the higher realms coming through Saint Michael into the sword. And the sword is that joiner, a tool that joins realities together, and he's touching it into the earth itself. The dragon is that energy, much like
Yeah.
when you see
Dragon
Mother
energy. Yeah.
Mary standing on the stake. She is not squashing the snake. She is connected to the Kundalini or the magic of the earth itself. And so,
Do you use like dowsing rods and things like that? Because even Heidi was saying, a lot of people, and including her, want to get them and do some
well,
investigating with them.
they're great. I do it differently. I use my hand,
Uh-huh.
see, like this, and I
Yeah.
start pointing and go, "Where's the energy at?" And I'm going around and it, bink, it
Oh,
stops
and you
right
just
there.
feel it.
Yeah, and I feel it. That's basically what um, dowsing rods do.
Yep.
I would say keep trusting yourself, and most
Mm-hmm.
importantly, practice. That's why I think going out and sitting by a tree, like, you feel your own body, and then you go, oh, I wonder what this tree
Yes.
energy is like, and you touch it, and in that instant, another energy will appear in your body. That's not
Mm-hmm.
your energy, that's the tree's energy, and it just transferred instantly. And so you meditate on that, and you start to learn what a vibration in nature actually feels like.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, I do that with my plants. We talk about that here a lot on the channel. You have a connection to your house plants, and if you can't get out in nature a lot, like when I walk my dog, I try to touch trees and stuff like that. It's so important to do.
It really is. We're connected to so much, and the more you connect with your dogs, your trees, the earth,
Yeah.
even going out and like bringing your presence into the stars and letting the star energy come into your body or go
Yes.
into the earth, you're learning a language. In fact, you're making your embodiment bigger and bigger and bigger. What was Yeshua doing when he was in the cave with Babaji? He was out learning what the stars' vibrations actually felt like.
Right. Right.
So it expanded him in his vibration. And therefore, the light within his body became more real and more profound.
Sure. What
Yeah.
places in the States do you think are give you the same kind of vibe that you would get by when you tour France and you go to, well, are there any places in the States?
You're being very diplomatic with that question, aren't
I'm
you?
trying.
I think Sedona, I like Sedona. It's
Yeah.
kind of like a big tourist town like Disney World these days, but it has a high vibration. I love Southwest Utah. I really like the Mount Shasta area. Uh, Also, the redwood trees. Think of the redwood
Oh,
trees as
yeah.
almost like antennas that go up and commune with the stars. They are bringing star energy into the earth.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
what the ancients were doing. They were bringing in star energy.
Oh,
They
yeah.
had a connection deep in the earth, and they brought them to ground level and brought it to their being and their land and their crops and their fertility of whatever they were wanting to fertilize, whether that be a
Yeah,
field or
yeah.
a woman,
It's
That's,
almost sad that we kind of lost that ancient connection, that these folks had. We're so busy with our
yeah,
lives and technology, and we kind of sadly have forgotten so much of who we are.
it's just changed,
Yeah.
you know, uh, and yet I see people have yearned for it. And also, we shouldn't discount how our genetics have changed with all the electrical, all the
Yes.
speeded up of life. We have
Yeah.
to take that's what we're dealt with. That's who we are now.
Yeah.
And
Even
somehow
more. Yeah.
it's advanced our brain in a different way, but we can still connect with all of these things of the earth, the stars, and all of these places to come up with a new synthesis. I'm not a
Yes.
believer that we have to live an old-fashioned life like I met these two people that did everything the way the Cathars did in the 10th century.
Or like the
That
Amish. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and maybe that has some great purpose and stuff and great for
Yeah.
them, but that's not the hand I've been dealt with. I I use a computer all the time. I'm
Oh my God.
connecting
Yeah.
with the internet. I've done all of these things. I go 90 miles an hour down the road,
Yeah.
fly
It's
in
who we are as a
airplanes.
culture. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so all of that stuff changes my genetic, and I'm finding my own path with this. Yeshua's taught me a lot, but I had to find my own applications with it. And that to me is fascinating.
It is. And it's so well said. And especially for future generations, like we could only imagine what it would be like for them. And I hope they keep their spirituality. Like I see with my granddaughter, my son and my daughter-in-law make sure that she stays very spiritually connected and in touch with her religion, which is nice to see.
Yeah, it is. Uh, I was in Denmark. I went to this party. Went to a party of a corporate president, and it was a very modest house. It wasn't this huge, huge house. It looked like it had maybe 8 or 9 bedrooms.
Oh, that's all.
That's all for a corporate president. That
Yeah, I guess.
you would think that's twice as big as my house, 4 bedrooms. And he goes, "We don't go to church here." He goes,
Mm.
"Our version of church is practicing making it good for everybody."
Oh,
And I thought, I like that.
yeah, that's great.
I love the Danish. They're very kind people in
Yes.
general.
Yes. What's
Yeah.
it like in the next 5 minutes or so? What has been your experience with ETs and contacting, been in connection with them? Have you had many of those experiences?
Indirectly, very much. I've never had an ET shake my hand.
Yeah,
Uh, that would be interesting.
it
Uh,
would.
I've had
It
encounters
would.
all my life, I think. But my favorite thing to do is go to the Stargate Mountain, Peak de Bugarash. I go
Mm.
down at this one particular place by the lake on the dam, giving away my secret spots here, folks. And I take groups there. This is fun. We lay out on our mats, bring candy bar and fruit,
Nice.
and we watch UFOs go across the sky and
Oh, yeah.
lights pop out a mountain and look at the stars. But what happens? And also, we invite the ET spirit in. You know,
Yes.
just having a ceremony and sending light up to the stars to the ET
Hmm.
ships and just saying we're available. Please come visit. We welcome you in. There's something in the meditation of looking at stars that you lose yourself.
Gosh, yeah.
And what opens when you make that invitation, because when you make the invitation to the ETs, you're also making that invitation to your own collective consciousness
Gosh, yeah.
for them
That's
to
so
have a
well.
communion. What I find, well, when I finally get up off my mat, I'm just totally stoned and I'm
Yeah.
having a hard time walking back to the van. And second, then I have to drive the group home on a windy road in the middle of the night. That's wild. But my mind is speeded up. My mind is
Yeah.
functioning differently, almost as if I have cleared a lot out in that instant. So
Mm.
I'm starting to learn about different parts of the brain that think of the brain as a holographic organism and that it has many functions that happen all at once.
Yes.
And we
So
can
true.
tap into that. And I think the ETs are really helping us there. So that was fun to have that. There's also
How
this one
often?
sacred site. Go
How
ahead.
often do you do that? Do you do those kind of tours where you lay out and just
Well, during the
connect?
summertime, when it's warmer, we do that
Yeah.
as part of the
Yeah.
tour.
Yeah.
My May tour, it depends on the weather. Because
Yeah.
in May, you get a lot of cloudy nights and stuff. But if you get
Right.
these clear summer nights, it's a slice of paradise.
Oh, it really is. I love
Yeah,
looking at
yeah,
stars
yeah.
myself. We have a university up here that I went to, and they have, a professional telescope. And every now and then they invite folks up to look at the planets and,
Hmm.
kind of see Saturn and the rings, and it's just so magical.
Yes.
And then you could
I,
just lay on blankets and do exactly what you said. Yeah.
yeah, and I think there's a point of view of the invitation and the surrender. And then it's very mesmerizing to keep your eyes locked on the sky itself.
Yes.
Something opens up and enters inside of you is my theory. And so that
So
happens. Of
true.
course, I see a lot of ETs, and I've taken pictures of them. Usually, they flash as a little silver speck in the sky, and as soon
Hmm.
as you tune in to it visually, it's gone. But when I muscle
Yes.
test it and go, "Is that an ET or a UFO?" I always get a yes. But then I'll just, I'm always taking photos, and I got about 5 or 6 good flying saucer pictures.
Wow. Nice. Next
Yeah.
time you come on, you'll have to show them to us.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
I would love that. So you're writing a book now. What else are you working on, Bart? You're
Yeah,
obviously busy with your tour.
yeah. I do shamanic work. Of course, the radio show Becoming Quantum Conscious at 2 o'clock on Wednesdays. I'm always having fun with that. The book, The Wild Feminine of Bugarash, because I really want to explore the wild feminine and how it relates in a metaphysical sense and an
Mm,
emotional embodiment sense. Because I think those two come together. And, I'm really fascinated with uncovering our inner child traumas, limitations, repressed emotions. When those get cleared, the feminine really steps up, comes out, and wildness of life starts to show up. In other words, adventure. We become whole people more. So I think going to sacred sites facilitates that,
Oh, I
as
love
well
that.
as emotional work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of
So
course, folks can go to Mary Magdalene France Tours, which is scrolling across the
oh, yep,
screen.com,
yep, that's it.
and they
I
can
forgot about
check
that.
out your website and schedule tours on there, right?
Yeah. And also, I guess the biggest thing I'm interacting with is my Facebook group.
Oh,
Uh,
yes. I
the
joined that.
Yes, you did. Uh, Mary Magdalene in Southern France, Sacred Sites of Mary Magdalene in Southern France tours. It's really a community. It's funny. It used to be this dribbling little site that just barely, maybe 5,000 members. Then I said, let's make this a community.
Yeah, good
And I
idea.
just kept inviting people to write their stuff, put it up, and I do have some limitations, like I don't want to get too dogmatic, and don't permit
Yeah,
negativity to happen, criticism, which happens so much in the internet, but we keep it positive.
unfortunately.
The
Yeah, that's
site,
good.
the group has grown tremendously because this is an energy that's lighter than what a lot of things happening in the world are. We need places where there's no criticism, but we're support, and we're
Yes.
all mutually exploring topics.
Yes, I agree. Where can folks find you on Facebook? If they go to Facebook, how do they search for your group? Like what
Uh,
keywords would they use?
Wow.
Would
France,
they put your
Mary
name in?
Magdalene,
Your name?
Bart Sharp.
Yeah,
Uh,
I guess
I,
they could try that.
yeah, I'm not that technically adept to tell you the right information.
Well, I'll be sure to share
Sorry.
it on my social media so folks can find you.
I
And
appreciate
Heidi
that.
said of course, Heidi said she really enjoys the show. You're a great guest and your energy is so peaceful.
Thank you, Heidi, and I always love seeing your presence.
Yes, she's a star sister.
She is.
She really is. Thank you so much, Bart. We will
Thank you.
definitely have you back again. And maybe there's so many questions I have left that I didn't get a chance to ask you. We'll save them for the next time.
All right. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Bart. It's a real blessing to be able to connect with you.
All right. Bless you too.
Thank you,
Bye bye
dear.
for now.
Bye bye. Bye bye for now. Well, that was awesome. And I do love his energy. You learn so much. It makes me want to book a trip to France, to be honest. But thank you again. You've been listening to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. And of course, we are live on United Public Radio. And much, much thanks to them. You can find them on FM radio, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM in New Orleans. So as we come to the end of this magical mystery of France, we're reminded that history is not only written in books, but it's also etched into landscapes, symbols, and stories that continue to evolve with every generation. A sincere thank you to Bart Sharp for sharing his insights and experiences, and to all of you, of course, in the chat for joining us in exploring this timeless topic that helps us to connect myth, history, and the human search for meaning. That says it all. It truly does. Thank you. Much love to you all. And I will see you all next Wednesday. Have a blessed and safe weekend. Bye bye.